We have all heard the Orient Express. Its stunning features, its wonderful meals, its 1930s inspired decor and coaches, and of course the amazing novel by Agatha Christie that made it world famous. But did you know she also wrote about another train? In fact, you could call it its rival. It's one of the most luxurious in the world and takes you through the heart of Africa. It's called the Blue Train. Long before the Blue Train got its name, it was happily running passengers from the 1890s during the gold and diamonds boom. It offers prospectors direct routes to the goldfields over a 2-day period in comfort. However, according to many accounts, the word comfort got severely lost in translation. The coaches were rickety and old, and because there was no air conditioning of any format, it was blistering hot in the day and freezing at night. If you opened up a window to try and relieve yourself from the boiling glass houses that the coaches became, the coach would quickly be filled with smoke and soot from the train, as well as various insects whose sole intention was to bite you. It was obvious things needed updating. Things began to improve as early as the 1900s. Stuffy old coaches made way for modern air-conditioned luxuries with shower and washroom facilities, electric lighting and oak-panelled saloons. They weren't cheap, but with the growing diamond boom, they turned over a very tidy profit. A local mine owner by the name of Cecil John Rhodes also wanted to exploit his growing industry of bringing the wealthy, so he supported the ideas as well. His dream was to expand the British Empire and wanted to use the railway as the key. He was instrumental in overseeing construction of the line between South Africa and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The line eventually would reach Victoria Falls, famous for its sheer beauty and wonderful atmosphere. The services offered passengers a chance to dine and drink, as the falls created an almost magical backdrop. In 1923, the train, now called the Union Limited on the up line and the Union Express on the down line following the amalgamation of the two companies that ran it, the companies both concluded that the train needed serious updating. The accommodation was updated with the times, and in 1928, the new coaches were introduced which were equipped with heating for the first time. Bells for summoning coach attentions and hot and cold water greeted the passengers as they got aboard. In 1933, a new dining saloon called Protea was introduced to the trains. The new coach and attendant kitchen car was invented with cutting-edge technology. Their suspension, for example, was designed to make the carriage run as smoothly as possible, a fact the companies were proud to demonstrate in test runs by filling a glass with water to within 6 millimeters of the brim, and be proud that the glass never spilled during its fast and 118-mile-long run. The outside of the new carriages were unusual. It was finished in an azure and cream finish, but only 3 years later, new steel coaches were built in England and shipped over. These were painted in a new blue and grey, and the Blue Train was born. During the war, it wasn't feasible and too dangerous to run the blue trains, so many were sidelined until 1946. During that time, plans were drawn to reintroduce the blue trains to the world and mark them as the premier express engines. The Blue Train name stuck, and locomotives that had the pleasure of hauling the blue trains were allowed to wear bright headboards for the honour. As with most of the world, the kings of steam were bowing to their diesel and electric counterparts, and the Blue Train was no exception. The new diesel and electric locomotives adopted the carriage's livery, and many passengers booked on board not just to go to A to B, but to travel and to marvel at the beauty and the ride itself. After travelling thousands of miles back and forth, the blue trains were beginning to show their age. Unlike the Orient Express, which wanted to preserve its Art Deco age, the Blue Train wanted to modernise and offer the best in innovation. New carriages were commissioned in 1968 by the South African Union and Carriage Works, But while the new train was being made, just 1 year later, a special anniversary run was commissioned that was steam-hauled. 2 locomotives, a 16E number 855 and 16E number 859, were brought forward to head the trains. As a special nod to the King's esteem, retired steam drivers, many past drivers of the Blue Train, gathered round the old girls to take a picture, their faces proud as their engines were fired up once again. The new carriages took to the tracks in 1972 and straight away became a symbol of luxury and progression, and were famous for taking the wealthy and the elite. In 1997, the Blue Train was overhauled and has been on the tracks ever since. So let's have a proper look at what you would expect on the Blue Train. The Blue Train offers a 2-night excursion from Pretoria to Cape Town, with differing scenery taking you through national parks famous for elephants and the Diamond Mine museums. The carriages are 5-star hotels on wheels, offering 5-course dinners and a personal butler to be on call 24 hours a day to give the finest champagne on cue. The carriages offer a range of services including a full bath, and the bath is lined with goose-down duvets and a TV hidden in the bedstand. A popular attraction on the Blue Train as you travel through the African countryside is to have a good glass of cognac and a Cuban cigar while in the club bar as you take in this, or you could take in the starlight on the observation deck. Like the Orient Express, you would be expected to dress up for dinner, but since the service is quite literally silver and crystal, trainers are definitely not allowed. So the price for a 2-night stay? About £1,000 per person, certainly a lot less than the Orient Express. Up until 2005, the 12E electric locomotives sat at the head of the trains. The engine was a bow configuration and reached a top speed of about 93 miles an hour, and was built by the Union Carriage and Wagon Works for South African Railway. 5 were specifically built and 2 engines were applied to each Blue Train at a time. They took over services in 1985 before all 5 trains were sold in a single sale in 2005, when the locomotives were replaced by the 14E and the 14E1. To date, the locomotives are still awaiting their fate, but have been sold to an undisclosed buyer. So if you want to see African beauty while travelling in the lap of luxury, then the Blue Train is for you. It has services all year round and has a range of services to suit everyone's pocket. It strives for more and is not afraid to move with the times. I expect that the Blue Train will run for many, many years more, and I'm excited to see what the latest innovations can be brought to it. It's a fantastic journey and definitely one worthy going on your bucket list.